The end of July in 2010, a study came out which ranked countries of the world from happiest to most unhappy, and Israel came in at number 8th. Now, how could that be? It's a tiny little country surrounded by dozens of countries that want to exterminate it. It's the subject of a worldwide effort to delegitimize it with boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. It's the pariah of many nations. Many world leaders condemn it. So how could they be one of the happiest countries in the world? Well, it's interesting that the Torah portion of the week in which this report came out was Akeb. And one of the most famous lines in all of world literature occurs in the Parashat Akeb, which says that man does not live by bread alone, but by what emerges out of the mouth of God, or by the hands of God. What God gives us is what makes us feel fulfilled. That's what we live by. And it's not only what we live by, but it's what we live for. And so if you think about Israeli society, there's no society that's better in the whole world. There's nobody who's freer, and you can just tell by the arguments in the parliament and on the streets. The people are the freest of any nation in the world. It is one of the wealthiest countries of the world now, in the top 25 or 20 nations. It's growing faster than just about any other nation. It's responsible for most of the innovations in the world. Most people attribute 25% of everything positive happening in the world to Israeli scientists. An amazing ingenuity. Nobody loves life more than the Israelis. And nobody loves death more than its neighbors that try and kill Israelis all the time. And they're willing to sacrifice their children, who honor their children for blowing themselves up. Israel has a higher life expectancy than Germany and the Netherlands. Publishes more books per capita than any other nation, has more museums, more scientific papers, more high-tech startups than any other nation in the world. It's a purpose-driven society. They simply want to help people. They want to help the world. They want to help themselves, and also, by doing that, they help the world. They are also a religious nation. Not everybody, of course, but they're far more religious on average than the American Jewish community, and so it's kind of hard for American Jews to really understand it. But when you add all of this together, you have a very happy society. It's like, in some ways, one big family, even though there's lots of arguments. But in a typical Jewish family, sometimes you have that too. But I think it's amazing to reflect that even though no nation on the earth probably is more terrorized than the Israelis, and they live in a tiny little country, they still are among the happiest top 10 countries in the whole world. It's really a phenomenon. And I think it really goes to the idea of them understanding that man does not live by bread alone, but by what comes out of the mouth of God. That what God gives us are the beauties of life, the heart and desire to succeed, to improve the lot of ourselves, our family, and thereby our community and country, and thereby the world. And nobody's doing more to help the world than Israel in terms of the water desalinization in an efficient way, electrical car innovations, and you name it, from your iPhone to your computer to your medicine to the scientific advances, mostly coming from Israel today. No wonder why Israel is one of the top 10 happiest countries in the world, coming in this recent study at number 8.